Many years ago, there once lived a great and powerful king in an African village. Everybody feared him and came to pay obeisance to him. When an ordinary man came before the African king, he would shout in greetings, "May the king live forever." But there was a man in the village who refused to greet the king in such manners. Instead, he would say, "There is no king like God." After many visits to the king and many repetitions of this phrase, the king grew angry and plotted to destroy him. The king called the man to his palace and gave him 2 silver rings and told him they were his to keep. But in fact, the king meant to avenge himself through them. The man, whom everybody now called "No king as God," took the ring and put them into a dry and empty hand and gave it to his wife to keep for him. A week later, the king called No king as God and sent him to a distant village to tell the people to come help him build up his village walls. As soon as No king like God had left the village, the king sent for his wife. He offered her 1,000 cowries if she would give him the rings which her husband had put in her care. The man's wife was tempted by this great offer, so she agreed and brought the ram horn. When the king looked inside, there were 2 rings safely kept. The king placed them back into the horns and gave it to his servant with the instruction to throw it far into the lake. They did so, and as soon as the horn fell into the water, a great fish swam by and swallowed it. Now, as No king as God was returning home from his journey, he met some friends who were going fishing. He went with them and caught a great fish, which he took home. When he got home, he asked his wife, "Where are the precious ring?" But she replied that she could not find them. He was very disturbed and disappointed. They were still talking when a royal message came and told the man he was wanted by the king at once. As the man set off for the royal court, his son, who had been cleaning the fish, suddenly struck his knife on something hard and called to his father. The father pulled out the horn, and when he opened it, he looked inside and saw the ring which the king had given him for safekeeping. And he said to himself, "Truly, there is no king like God." When the man arrived at the palace, he greeted the king in his usual way. "No king like God." The king demanded the rings which he had given him for safekeeping and signaled his guard to close round him and kill him if he could not provide the ring. But No king as God put his hand into his pocket and pulled out the horns and handed it to the king. The king opened it and took out the 2 silver rings. The king wondered how the man could have found the rings and said aloud, "Indeed, there is no king like God." All his counselors shouted in approval. Then he divided the village into 2 and gave half to "There is no king like God" to rule. This is a tale of an African man. My name is Auta.